one of the things that you have to talk about in these conversations when the Utah Jazz come up, and we're talking about trading Donovan Mitchell and what should the Utah Jazz ask for? What will the Utah Jazz get in return? One of the things that's pretty clear, Jake, when we talk about this is how hard is Donovan Mitchell working? And I think one of the major questions that we've had is, what is Donovan Mitchell adding to his bag this offseason? Well, this video we're about to play right here live on YouTube, I think says that Donovan Mitchell's working on his mid-range.
There'll be points that people are going to mistake my confidence for arrogance. They don't understand the process I went through and how much I had to believe in myself in order to make these things happen. I feel like you can will yourself into a good space. Things that are meant to happen will. And if you believe in yourself enough, you can.
So what you see right there is that Donovan Mitchell is a guy that, again, and I know I might be making too much of it, Jake, but right there, I think you see Donovan Mitchell adding to his mid-range bag.
Yeah, and I think Donovan understands. Like, Donovan gets that, like, he has a three-point range, but the mid-range game is what is limiting him right now. Because if you think about it, if you're thinking about, all right, how am I going to defend Donovan Mitchell in a one-on-one situation or even in a pick-and-roll situation? Well, right now, the defense is going to press. They're going to push out to the three-point line because they know that Don's probably got, 2 feet behind the three-point range reliably. Like, he can make it out there. So you're pushing out because you don't have any fear of the mid-range game from him. Now, I think if I'm Donovan Mitchell, and that's what you saw in the video, like, you're going to work on mid-range. You're going to work on, the way you use your pivot foot. You're going to work on spinning off that pivot foot. You're going to work on fading to your back shoulder, like all the stuff that we see all the great players do. That's what he's working on, and that's why I say I think Donovan Mitchell understands it. It's just a matter of him getting comfortable using it in the game. And I think, so often last season we talked about hero ball and Don taking shots maybe that were ill-advised or low percentage looks. And I think that's what this changes in his game. If he understands, okay, I can get to the elbow, I can get to these certain spots on the floor, I don't have to take that 30-footer.
Yeah, and I also think I want to play one more video for you. And again, if you're listening on the audio podcast, you should get to YouTube because when we talk basketball, Utah Jazz, Donovan Mitchell, what we like to do now is we like to show you more than just tell you. Donovan Mitchell was running with Chris Brickley in New York, and Chris, as you know, is one of the renowned skills coaches across the NBA, and they play a lot of basketball, and the biggest names in the NBA from KD, Durant, Harden, you name it, Donovan Mitchell, they show up in Brickley's gym and they play. Look at this video of Donovan Mitchell breaking the backboard, literally breaking the backboard at Chris Brickley's run this week. I mean, that's crazy.
It's domination.
That is him going right to the basket. And I also think, there's other videos of Don doing a sweep through. And in my opinion, Donovan Mitchell's having a great offseason. And, and this is why I say, if you're the Utah Jazz and you're trading Donovan Mitchell, the value that you're getting in return for him cannot be too high. And I know there's a lot of questions about Donovan Mitchell's ceiling, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But you look at these two videos that we showed you today. You look at how quiet Donovan Mitchell has been. And what have we seen from Don this offseason? We've seen Donovan Mitchell on islands with his trainer, like flying his trainer to seclusion and working on his body. We've seen him island hopping to find a gym where he can play pickup ball. Like, this season, very clearly, the branding that Donovan Mitchell is putting out is that he is coming for blood this season. And I don't think you would expect anything less because, frankly, Donovan Mitchell's a guy who, again, I will say, whether it's with the Utah Jazz or with somebody else, Donovan Mitchell has got to have a huge season. This is, in my opinion, this is make or break. Don is either going to stagnate and stay still, or he's going to explode and become one of the top 5-10 players in the NBA. And I do believe, and I know that's crazy, and a lot of people disagree with me. And again, I'll just say, whether it's on the Utah Jazz or whether it's on another team, Jake, I am convinced that Donovan Mitchell has the ability to be one of the truly elite players in this league.
Yeah, and I completely agree. And how does that affect the conversation with the New York Knicks? I mean, I don't mean to go straight to like, hey, he's going to get traded or go straight to a pain point, but think about it. What have we been hearing? Well, we've been hearing that the Knicks are reticent to meet Danny Ainge's asking price. Well, maybe if Donovan Mitchell was a bona fide top 5 player in the league, they wouldn't be reticent to meet the asking price. And that's what I think. The more I've thought about this and the more I start putting thought into this process and how this may work out, I think Donovan Mitchell is going to have a baller season. I think he is going to go nuts this season. And I think what ends up happening is that's going to legitimize him as a player. And then once that happens, then you're talking about being able to move him for the price that you want. And that's the thing that I think has kept him to this point from being traded, because Danny has asked for a really high price. The Knicks don't feel that Don is worth that very clearly, or they're not willing to give up what Danny's asking for, whatever, however you want to phrase it. And I just think when Don steps his game up and continues to improve, it gets easier for Danny Ainge to get that price.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think this is interesting. And, I also go to the Kevin Durant situation, because I think when you look at the Kevin Durant situation, Miami is supposedly, and I say supposedly because I don't think anybody really knows what's going on, Miami is supposedly a team that is willing to give up Bam Adebayo to go and make a Kevin Durant trade. And I look at what Miami would have to give up to get Kevin Durant. I look at what New York would have to give up to get Donovan Mitchell. I just don't know why you would ever do a trade like that. Like, I sit here and I ask myself every single day, why would the New York Knicks give up between 5 and 8 first-round draft picks on their own to get Donovan Mitchell? And there is no bigger supporter, if you've listened to this show, there is no bigger supporter than I of Donovan Mitchell. Why, if you were the New York Knicks, are you giving up between 5 and 8 picks to get Donovan Mitchell? That's lunacy. Oh, and then you're going to have to throw in 3 young players to make that deal. That's lunacy. You just invested hundreds of millions of dollars in Jalen Brunson. You have got millions and tens of millions of dollars in a guy like Julius Randle, Emmanuel Quickly, Grimes, Toppin, like all these guys. If you're the New York Knicks, ask yourself if you really need to give up all of that, potentially 10 assets, to get one guy in Donovan Mitchell. And if he were Kevin Durant, if he were LeBron in his prime, okay, we're having a different discussion. This is a prove-it year for Donovan Mitchell. So I ask again, if you're the Knicks, does this even make sense? Does this even make sense to give up that much to get Donovan Mitchell? And my man, I'm telling you, it's not. And it's not that Donovan Mitchell's not good. And the question of the day is, how good can Donovan Mitchell be? How high is his ceiling?
Yeah.
Man, I'm telling you, this guy is a true alpha male. Donovan Mitchell can be a number 1 option, but not for 10 assets.
Facts.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not giving up Bam Adebayo to get Kevin Durant. Like, if you give up Bam Adebayo and it's Kevin Durant and Jimmy Butler and a bunch of other bros, like, what do you really have? Because we learned the hard way that just having greatness on the roster does not guarantee you a win. And I think if you look at what happened in Philly, Minneapolis, Chicago, Jimmy Butler's got a track record of not being the easiest guy to get along with.
Right.
So am I going to put Kevin Durant, who's asking his way out of Brooklyn right now, in a meltdown of epic proportions, perhaps the ugliest team meltdown we've ever seen? Am I going to give up Bam Adebayo to bring that to South Beach?
Never.
How can you?
It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
And that's why I say we're just sitting here. We're like in gridlock. We're in deadlock. Like, the league is literally just sitting here spinning. And I don't know what the fix for that. A lot of people will tell you, well, hey, the Lakers are in control and they should have made the Westbrook deal for Kyrie and the Nets can buy Kyrie out and be in a better situation. But I that hasn't happened. So that's my point. I don't know where the league goes. It's going to take like Kevin, Kyrie, and Ben Simmons agreeing to play together this season, and the Nets putting all that, trade me, all this nonsense to bed for the league to move on, I feel like. And I can't believe we're sitting here saying this, that the Brooklyn Nets control the fate of the NBA right now. Like, it's wild. Like, I don't know how we got here.
But this is why I go back to the question on Donovan Mitchell. Like, again, how good can he be? And what's the level of respect for Donovan Mitchell around the NBA? Like, do the Utah Jazz have too much value placed on him? Does Donovan Mitchell not get the respect he's earned across the NBA? Because I think there is a good conversation to be had around what the rest of the NBA thinks of Donovan Mitchell and how much respect there is for Donovan Mitchell around this league. Because when you're asking a team like the Knicks to give up 10 pieces to get Donovan Mitchell, my God.
Yeah.
And potentially, 5 to 8 first-round picks, that's insanity to me. Mm-hmm. And, of course, Danny Ainge is going to drive a hard bargain. I mean, there's a sucker born every day, and recently they were born in Minnesota, right? So you got a haul for Rudy Gobert, but I just don't know what you do if you're the Utah Jazz and the Knicks are like, nah, bro, we're not giving up, 6 first-round picks to get your guy.
Then I think you stand pat. I think you ride it out. I think you go into the season and you see what you have in this team. I mean, obviously, again, we can't keep saying it enough. Like, I do believe Conley and Bogey are going to get moved, but I think the point is, the overreaching point is, okay, we've got Don for at least the first part of the year before the deadline.
Yeah.
What can we do? And I think this is the ultimate, like, make a decision at the deadline type thing, because we've heard that the Knicks and the Jazz are far apart on a deal. So, okay, let's not force it. And I think that's the beautiful thing about what Danny is doing. This question of, hey, is Danny Ainge overvaluing Donovan Mitchell? Well, it's not like Danny Ainge is trying to make a deal where he's like actually trying to trade Donovan Mitchell. Danny Ainge is trying to make a deal where he's not trying to trade Donovan Mitchell. He's trying to fleece a team, and that's why the price is so high. So I just think it's to try to define Don's value off of what Danny is asking is not the right way to go about it.
No, I agree. All right, let's get your thoughts in here. First one in this morning is Colton Bitten.
What's up, Colton?
Colton, good morning. He says, first in, happy birthday, Brad Saylor. I don't know who Brad Saylor is.
Yeah, I don't know who that is. Who is that?
Neville93, second one in. Good morning, lads. Yes, I respect Mitchell, but he needs to do a little growing up, I believe. Ooh.
I agree. I know that's harsh, but I agree.
Truth bomb.
I have to agree. I think we've talked so much about the Donovan-Rudy dynamic and when Rudy got shipped out, but Donovan owns a big piece of that. Donovan also owns a big piece of leadership on this team and moving the team forward, assuming that he's still here. So, yeah, I completely agree.
I think respect is such a heavy word. I think Donovan Mitchell, as a basketball player, I don't know how you don't respect him. As a man, I don't think that that's our decision to make. Nobody in watching the show or hosting the show, certainly we're not personal friends with Donovan.
Right.
I don't think it's a personal thing. I have a lot of respect for the way Donovan Mitchell works. I have a lot of respect for the way Donovan Mitchell plays the game. I think Donovan Mitchell's a competitor. I lost respect for Rudy Gobert last year when he sat out the Dallas game.
Yeah.
I thought that was a cop-out. So I do think that respect is a big issue for Donovan Mitchell. I don't think he gets the respect that he's earned or due across the NBA. I don't think people, and I think some of that is he plays in a small TV market where the TV deal for the Jazz is absolute garbage.
Yeah.
There's really not one, but I think respect is lacking for Donovan Mitchell. I truly believe that. Mike Belknap says he can't earn my respect. I'm part of the most racist fan base in the league. I'm glad they're moving this race baiter.
I don't really understand that.
I don't know how Donovan Mitchell's a race baiter. BB says, my question is, are the Jazz tanking this year or not? Like, are we trading away Conley and Bojan? If so, do we trade everyone but Don? I can tell you firsthand that Bojan Bogdanovic, they could have traded Bojan already. The Jazz have had a lot of inquiries about Bojan Bogdanovic. I think the problem for Mike Conley is his value is incredibly low. I think last year damaged his value. Signing Mike Conley to that new deal was a huge mistake. Mm-hmm. And you're going to pay for it because I think the Jazz are having trouble trading Mike Conley. I've heard it from more than one NBA person that Mike Conley's got no value. And I think that the Jazz, I think it's probably strong to say that the Utah Jazz need to trade Mike Conley, I think they'd like to move that deal off their books.
Yeah.
And I think there are teams who'd like to have him, but not at the number that the Jazz have placed on him. And I think that's why when we talked last year about, hey, are you bringing Mike Conley back? You made an emotional decision. You let the momentum from the fan base dictate how you spend your money. And in my opinion, that's always a mistake. And I think
screwed.
Yeah, I think you're paying for that now. I do think you're paying for that. JP Shanahan says, morning, mates. What's up, JP? Kurt Myers says, good morning. Looking forward to an entertaining morning. Thank you.
It's going to be tough to beat yesterday's show, I have to admit. The laugh we had on yesterday's show was pretty historic.
Cocaine and ranch dressing, my friends. How else would you do this job, right? Come on now.
Yes.
Let's see. Prismak from Poland. Well, hello, sir. Says, hello, everyone. Monty's show is great. Now I'm in Bulgaria, and I watch you every day. You have always right about my favorite team and got some news. Next season will be great no matter what. Enjoy it. Appreciate you being here.
I saw it.
Yeah, saw, dude. Rhett Smith says, morning. James Knight says, sick of hearing about Donovan Mitchell. Okay.
Okay. Well,
okay.
You know.
Teddy Wayman's in. What's up? Tanner Plummer's in. What's up? Tanner talking a load of crap about my Chelsea Football Club on Twitter last night.
Hey, guys.
So apparently the Real Monarchs were playing the Chelsea under-21 team.
Uh-huh.
I had no idea about that. They were at Rio Tinto last night.
You're casual.
No idea. Caleb, what's up? Caleb, a big fan of Via 313 Pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Might take you up on that. Absolutely not, Monty. Bam Adebayo stays. Well, I think Bam Adebayo is a really important figure in the Kevin Durant saga.
Yeah, and I think Miami's got a good core. They've got a core that clearly can get deep into the playoffs, can make good runs, and they gotta get the supporting cast to improve. Again, this is my point about Tyler Hero. This to me is an indictment on Tyler Hero.
Yes, it is.
The fact that they're looking at Kevin Durant, like, what does that say? Like, you have one of the best two-way players in Jimmy Butler on your team. Obviously, Lowry's there. Obviously, Bam is there. Oh, that's right, Tyler. You're only coming up with 10 points in a big game for us, and you let us down. That's right. That's right. So that's why I say, like, the cojones on Tyler Hero to come out and be like, yeah, I'm a max player and I should be a starter. Well, no, dude. What you need to do is you need to come out and give us 20 a night off the bench, and then you can start talking about being a starter and being that guy. And I just think that while Tyler Hero, again, not even being tongue-in-cheek, you're in Jack Harlow videos constantly, but you're not coming through on the floor, man. You got to be better, and I would expect him to be better. But he's another guy that's in a prove-it year, so hopefully he can come through. But I'm just telling you, the fact that they're even looking at Kevin Durant is somewhat of an indictment on that second unit.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Let's see. M. Shepard says, get to trading the other guys already. Yeah. Jeremy Bolton, what's up, my man? He says, morning. Yeah, college football can't come fast enough.
50 days to NFL kickoff, bud.
Yeah, exactly. A big NBA trade can't come fast enough. That's what I would say. Compass, my guy, you're back. What's up? M. Shepard says, I was absolutely thrilled when the Jazz signed the Italian soda. Well,
Italian soda.
Well,
Where's the Italian?
Yeah, where's the Italian? Well, let's see what happens when they actually get him on the floor and he starts playing games. Because I think one of the things that makes me crazy is we see a guy from Italy come in and they're like, France. Oh, he's from Milan. He's going to be awesome in his Versace shoes. And it's like, okay, well, that's cool and stuff, but can we see him be awesome like in the NBA?
Don't lie to me.
And Mr. Italiano, like Manicotti, I'll stop. He can really shoot, but my point is a lot of guys can really shoot.
He's a strong body for the Euro game, but I think when he starts playing NBA athleticism and NBA physicality, we'll see how that changes how he goes about his game.
Compass says, yeah, Mitchell would be lethal if he could be deadly from the midi. Yeah, and you know what? That video that we showed.
Yeah.
That little mid-range from that step-back mid-range J is a must.
Well, I'm telling you, you can't. Nobody's talking about it, but Will Hardy in this system that he's going to run, I'm telling you, is going to be good for Donovan Mitchell. Like you can't undervalue how suffocated Donovan Mitchell was in Quinn Snyder's system and the way they kind of went about it. And I also think because Rudy's not here, again, not an indictment on Rudy, but just a fact of life in the NBA. When you're not running a lumbering 7-footer out there the pace of play is going to pick up. Your options on the floor are going to pick up. Your space on the floor is going to pick up. And that's why I think that the combination of hiring Will Hardy, shipping out Rudy, and getting back guys like Malik Beasley and Jared Vanderbilt is huge. It's huge. It's absolutely going to change the dynamic for Donovan Mitchell on the offensive end.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how that all turns out. I don't know. I hope Donovan Mitchell is here when training camp starts. I hope Donovan Mitchell plays the first half of this season, because I think we're in one of these situations, and this is the same thing about Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving.
Mm-hmm.
When you don't trade guys and you openly try to trade them, you're make or breaking that guy.
Yeah.
Like, you're make or breaking that guy. And I think this is a huge moment in time. And Donovan Mitchell is a hard-working grinder in the offseason. I think you're going to see that Don is a guy that's going to come back with a bunch more in his bag. Honest to goodness. BB says the problem is not Don. The problem is not Don. Who is running mate? Who is his second star? I would agree with that. Giggity says, what's up? Good morning to you, sir. NY Jazz fan says, need a clutch mid-range game. If DeRozan did it, then so can Donovan. Absolutely.
Agreed.
Yep, absolutely. Dave Worlton. Dave, good morning. I love the beard in your avatar. He says, howdy from the Sunshine State. As a Jazz fan, I'd like to hear from Donovan. Does he want to move or want to stay? What are his feelings about the Jazz?
Man, we've talked a lot about this, bro.
I can only tell you this 1,000 times. I have made easily 100 requests to have him on our show. I have asked repeatedly to just have a phone conversation with him. I asked him if he was going to Summer League. I asked his agent, is he going to Summer League? Hey, can we do a FaceTime? Hey, I've been told while he's working out, he's busy. This summer is really busy for him.
No, I guess not.
Hey, when he's on a tarmac waiting to take off, can he give me 5 minutes? Like, Donovan Mitchell has not wanted to talk, and he has not talked to anybody. And I think that's largely by design. And Ty Sullivan, his agent, hasn't said 2 words. And yeah, there are a lot of rumors that Donovan Mitchell is changing agents. Hasn't happened yet.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he's not. I don't know. But Donovan Mitchell has not said 2 words, Dave. I think we'd all love to hear from him. Giggity says, love the video addition to the show. Thank you to everybody who commented on us adding videos. Shiron26 says, keep him. Kanai Johnson, KJ, what's up? Good to see you. He says, Don is going to be a beast this year. Watch his mid-range game. It's going to come out this year. And if you're just tuning in, I'll play it one more time. We're trying to add new features to the show.
The show is evolving. We've told you this.
One of the things that we have started doing is we have the ability to embed videos now here on our YouTube channel, like this one here, demonstrating that Donovan Mitchell is working on his mid-range game.
Maybe place that people are going to mistake my confidence for arrogance. They don't understand the process I went through and how much I had to believe in myself in order to make these things happen. I feel like you can will yourself into a good space. Things that are meant to happen will. And if you believe in yourself enough, you can help yourself.
And just note how pure it is.
Yeah.
Note how crispy it is.
He's always had great touch.
I'm telling you, Donovan Mitchell's a killer.
Yeah.
He is absolutely a killer. As is our good friend Devry Davis at Academy Mortgage, who presents our BYU drive away to Las Vegas. BYU and Notre Dame are playing in Las Vegas October 8th. We are giving you a chance to win 2 nights in a hotel and a pair of tickets to the game at Allegiant Stadium to watch BYU take on Notre Dame in the Shamrock Series. All you have to do right now is we have a bigger announcement coming next week on this, but all you have to do right now is subscribe to this very program right here, and you too can be entered to win a pair of tickets and $250 gas card, as well as 2 nights in a hotel in Las Vegas. The BYU Notre Dame drive away on the Monty Show is presented by Devry Davis at Academy Mortgage, NMLS number 278-545. Devry Davis, of course, is an equal housing lender. And my friends, I tell you this every day about our good friend Devry Davis. If you are wondering if you can afford a house, if you are wondering if you can afford to buy a house, man, I can't afford a down payment. Absolutely, you can. And that's why you're going to call Devry Davis today. 801-543-9666. The number to call our guy, Devry Davis. Any mortgage question you have. Are you tight on your mortgage payment right now? Have you thought about refining? Have you thought about, hey, how much home can I afford? I work for myself. Can I afford? Can I qualify? Hey, I only have a 650-point credit score. Does that get me a mortgage? Call Devery Davis at Academy Mortgage today. And you tell him, hey, I heard it on the Monty Show. 801-543-9666 is the number to get to our guy, Devery Davis. And with the mortgage situation, the interest rates, Devery Davis has a program for you that will get you into a home. If you've been thinking about buying a home and you're like, man, the market's crazy. Guess what? As we're going to tell you in about an hour from now, the market ain't as crazy as you think it is. You can afford to buy a house, but you've got to have that pre-qualification letter in your hand when you go out to negotiate. Devery Davis can get that to you, and he can get it to you today. All you have to do is call him today. Devery Davis, Academy Mortgage, 801-543-9666. Devery Davis presents our BYU Notre Dame Shamrock Series drive-away, where we're giving you 2 tickets to see Notre Dame and BYU at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, 2 nights in a hotel and a $250 gas card. By the way, if you don't live in Utah and you'd like to still compete to win that prize, please do. We'll also be happy to, if you want to fly yourself to Las Vegas, we'll give you the hotel, we'll give you the tickets, and we'll give you a $250 Visa gift card. Maybe you go buy yourself some beers. Maybe you go buy yourself a nice dinner. All compliments of our friend Devery Davis at Academy Mortgage, NMLS number 278545. Devery Davis and Academy Mortgage are an equal housing lender. And by the way, that's the way this show works. I know that we talk a lot about the business of doing this show. We need you guys to support our sponsors. And Devery Davis not only has Devery Davis done 3 of my mortgages, but he really likes our show. He stepped up to support us. We need you to support him. So even if you just lob him a phone call today and say, hey, I heard about you on the Monty Show. Just thought I'd say thanks for supporting the guys. Please do that. We appreciate it. All right, talking NBA. If you're just tuning in, I see a bunch of people joining us now. If you're just tuning into the show, talking about the respect level for Donovan Mitchell. How much is Donovan Mitchell worth to the Utah Jazz on the open market? Should the Miami Heat trade for Kevin Durant? And this is one of the things I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, should the Miami Heat trade for Kevin Durant? One of my biggest questions here is, what does Kevin Durant and Jimmy Butler look like next to each other? Those are 2 combustible guys. Kevin Durant is by far a much more laid back, chill character, right? But he's also a guy that we know has thin skin. We also know that he's a guy that doesn't hesitate to ask out of a situation, as he is in Brooklyn. He's become a ring-chasing team hopper, if you believe the rumors, which personally I don't think is a bad thing. But if you're the Miami Heat, are you willing to give up Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, guys that have been components of your resurgence here into the top of the Eastern Conference? Are you willing to give those guys up to put Kevin Durant next to Jimmy Butler? I think the only reason you would do that is because Eric Spoelstra is your head coach. And when I look at Eric Spoelstra, I think he's the reason that Kevin Durant and Jimmy Butler could work on South Beach, because I still maintain Steve Kerr and Eric Spoelstra are the 2 best coaches in the NBA today. I think they are fantastic. I think what Spo's done on South Beach with Miami and the Heat, bringing Jimmy Butler in there, teaching him how to lead a team, I think overcoming the obstacle that was Kyle Lowry last year, I think overcoming the struggles of a guy like Duncan Robinson, I think Eric Spoelstra has done a great job. And Jake, my opinion is, if you put Kevin Durant and Jimmy Butler next to each other with Eric Spoelstra there, I do believe that they could compete for a championship.
Yeah, I think you're in a great place, and I think you're already competing for championships. That's the thing. That's the thing that I think is fluid here for the Miami Heat. Like, you're already a team that people write off early in the year, and then you find yourself in the Eastern Conference Finals, or getting to the NBA Finals. I mean, again, this Boston team dispatched the Miami Heat quickly this year, but you were still there. And that's kind of my thing. Like, if you're the Miami Heat, you're really going to change this entire roster, like, to accommodate Kevin Durant? I don't think you need to do that. I think you need a better supporting cast. I think the combination of Kyle Lowry, Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo is a perfectly fine big 3, if you will, or core of your starting 5, and everybody else around them has to get better. And that's why I say, like, not to hate on Tyler Hero, but it's guys like Tyler Hero not doing enough in their role that limit you in big games. Like, that's why you lose to Boston, because it can't just be Jimmy and Bam and Kyle the entire game winning you games. It's got to be guys like Tyler Hero. It's got to be other guys on that bench that come in and have an impact. So to me, I wouldn't trade for Kevin Durant. Honestly, I think the price is too steep. I think that it completely changes your team. Like, it changes the dynamic. It changes who you are. You got to build a new relationship. Like, there's just so much to it.
I'm kind of surprised to hear you say that because, well, frankly, Kevin Durant is staring at you over your shoulder.
Yeah, I mean, his face is literally right here. I mean, the judgment coming from him is real.
Bro, I would absolutely trade for Kevin Durant if I could. As a noted supporter of my R&We, the Chicago Bulls, I would give up just about everything, including, DeMar DeRozan's scrotum to get him.
Yes.
That's probably too far. But my point is, I would give up quite a bit to get Kevin Durant. I would. I think Kevin Durant, especially in the East. I think in the West, you'd have to be one of the top 2 or 3 teams to get that done. And I don't know outside of Golden State any team at the top of the Western Conference that has the assets to do that.
Right.
I think if I am the Chicago Bulls, if I'm the Milwaukee Bucks, if I'm the Philadelphia 76ers, I'd far rather have Durant than James Harden. I think, by the way, we should also talk about James Harden because I think that the statements James Harden has made recently, I'm actually looking forward to seeing how he shows up at camp.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to see him show up in shape and ready to go.
Well, there's no question that James Harden is in far better shape than he was at any point. And he said, not to get all crazy, but James Harden said, hey, I wasn't close to a hole or 100% last year at any time. Listen, I totally understand that. James Harden 2 years ago was dealing with a horrendous hamstring tear. Okay, I totally get that. This, just like Donovan Mitchell, I think this year is a prove-it year for James Harden. His legacy is on the line.
Yeah.
He has got to win a championship now. That's a guy I want on my roster. This is why I say about Kyrie Irving, and I know we vehemently disagree on this.
Mm-hmm.
If you trade for Kyrie Irving right now on a 1-year deal, on a prove-it deal, Kyrie Irving's you're going to get wholly his best this coming season. You are. That's Ramadan fasting and everything that comes with Kyrie Irving. I totally get that. The vax thing, I totally get that.
Burning your locker room down,
Well, that depends on who you ask because there's a lot of people who say Kyrie Irving isn't bad in your locker room.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is he hasn't played enough. I think Kyrie Irving is going to have a monster year. Don's going to have a monster year. Kevin's going to have a monster year. Kyle Lowry is going to have a monster year.
Right.
James Harden's going to have a monster year. And what do they all have in common? They see the light at the end of the tunnel. They know what's coming. And they need to win a championship, and they need to do that now. And Kyle's got a championship. I totally understand that. Pat Riley said he was fat last year. I think Kyle Lowry's on a mission. The guy's lost 17 pounds and looks like a bodybuilder. Like, it's crazy how good Kyle Lowry looks. It's crazy how good James Harden looks. They're fair.
Yeah, him and Zion been hanging out,
Yeah, it's Zion Williamson. Zion Williamson. And that's not why you brought him up to say something nice, because you never say anything nice about
I don't.
Never.
Dude's been a complete bust. He's been fat.
Look,
he's been hurt.
He's
his
big
shoe
bone.
sucks. He's just
big
not.
bone.
Yeah, well, hey, whatever, man.
He's got a gland issue, man.
Yeah, I guess a gland issue.
You're
so
insensitive.
It's genetics. There were too many Twinkies in the cupboard that day and not enough vegetables. I don't know, bro. I don't know, but dude's got to prove it at some point.
Oh, my God. Teddy Wayman says Harden is going to have a really good year. I think he is. I think he absolutely is. I don't think there is.
I hope so.
I don't think there is any doubt about that. But, again, I think this goes back to, should you give up Bam Adebayo? You know what? If I can put Kevin Lowry next to, or Kevin Lowry, I put those two together.
Check yourself.
Yeah. If I can put Kevin Durant and Kyle Lowry next to each other with Jimmy Butler and Eric Spoelstra, it's over.
Come on, man.
It's over. If I can put a healthy James Harden next to, Big Sexy and the rest.
Big Sexy.
Hey, man, I'm just telling you, Joel, that is a flipping unit. Like, that guy healthy with James Harden healthy. Now we can talk about winning basketball games. Now we can talk about taking out Milwaukee. And now we can talk about being better than
another guy on a prove it tour. Giannis.
Janice, Ante, your mama.
Well said.
Hey, there you go. Cass Coolin says, if I didn't have a mortgage, I'd do it. Way to go, Cass. Congratulations on that. Tanner Plummer says, Karl Malone at Jaden Universe, even though he isn't a good person. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not sure what that means, bro.
I'm lost.
Yeah.
My Holy King says Miami should.
No.
Well,
no.
I think maybe he should. Maybe he should. I don't know. Prismac from Poland.
Prismac from Poland.
Who the f*** is that guy?
My Polish brethren. I have some Polish ancestry in me.
Okay.
Yeah, so does your mom.
Oh!
Danny Ainge is too experienced to do a stupid trade. He knows what to do. I trust him. Mitchell trade will be tough for Utah Jazz fans. He's the face of a team. I think that's exactly right. I think that trading Donovan Mitchell is not something you should do lightly.
Yeah.
Trading Kevin Durant, trading Bam Adebayo. But again, I think you are high risk if you are the Knicks in a Donovan Mitchell trade.
Yeah.
You're very low risk if you're the Utah Jazz. I think you're high risk if you're Miami in a Kevin Durant trade.
Yeah.
I think you're really low risk if you are Brooklyn. Right? Brooklyn can almost do no wrong if they trade Kevin Durant.
Yeah, if you're the team getting the guy, getting Donovan, getting KD, getting Russell Westbrook, getting John Wall, getting any of these guys, the pressure's on you to win, And I think that the asking prices for these players have never been higher. So, I mean, that's just kind of the market right now.
Yeah, totally agree. Absolutely agree. Great job in the comments this morning. Caleb says, I know media or maybe himself would potentially think that if he asks out, there'd rather be out rather than Ainge blowing it up himself. I mean, yeah, I think I think Caleb's talking about why Don hasn't said much, but I think Donovan Mitchell needs to talk at some point soon. I think they do. My Holy King says, who's Utah's new head coach? Will the Thrill Hardy. I think he's going to be stellar. He's young. I think adding Jason Terry to his staff was brilliant. I think adding David Fizdale as a developer of talent is brilliant. I think Will Hardy is going to be one of the best head coaches in the NBA 5 years from now.
Here's the game plan.
They gave him a 5-year deal, and Will Hardy's a guy that's very experienced. He has a lot of good mentorship under his belt. I think Will Hardy's going to be an excellent coach. I think he is going to be an excellent coach. DJ Lopez, is a John Collins.
Right.
Is a John Collins trade still possible for the Jazz? I don't know. It's interesting. They had been so linked to wanting to add a big, and then the Knicks came calling. And as it's been explained to me, the thing that changed the Jazz philosophy here is the landslide of assets that the Knicks were willing to talk about.
Yeah.
And while I don't believe, and this is my opinion based on what I've been told by people at the Jazz and around the NBA, I don't think the Knicks and Jazz were ever close on a deal. I think they last talked on Monday. And I think they agreed to cool their jets because Danny Ainge is not backing off the fact that he wants 6 picks. Now, I've heard craziness that Danny's asked for 8 picks. I was told directly by multiple sources Danny has not asked for 8 picks.
Pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in the track.
I think Danny has been asking for 6 picks and 3 players. And the Knicks are not going to do that. And you throw in the R.J. Barrett contract extension that's coming and all these different things. I think this deal makes a lot of sense for the Jazz and not a lot of sense for the Knicks.
Correct.
And I think you have a guy in Leon Rose who'd love to add Donovan Mitchell, but I think Leon Rose knows he's closer to winning a championship than the Knicks have been in the last decade.
Mm-hmm.
And if the Knicks will just hang on and make a good decision here on Donovan Mitchell, I think a year from now, the Knicks are a real force in the Eastern Conference. And I think this coming year, the Knicks are going to be much better. A couple more. Daniel Sturgis says Don is training in New York. He's on the move. Donovan Mitchell is from Westchester County, New York. Donovan Mitchell, every offseason of his career, has trained in New York.
Yep.
He works with Chris Brickley. This is not new.
Nope.
This does not mean he's on the move. Donovan Mitchell spends most off seasons in Connecticut and New York.
That's every day.
And Miami. This is not new. This is what he's done every single year, in my opinion. My Holy King says that's a championship Butler and KD. You think so? You think so, King? Like I could see it absolutely. And I don't think you're wrong. I just think about it like a campfire, and you're like, damn, I can't get this wood lit, and you just take kerosene and throw it on that fire. Isn't that what you're doing anytime you bring in another larger alpha male with Jimmy Butler in his locker room? That's my biggest concern. Like, there's not another alpha on that roster.
Yeah.
There just isn't.
Yeah, it's Jimmy's team.
Without question.
Yeah.
So if you remove one of his best friends in Bam Adebayo and you bring in Kevin Durant, okay, well, it's Kevin Durant. Okay, I can deal with that. If this becomes Kevin Durant's team, and it will, just naturally, it will. What happens to Jimmy's personality?
Is this the dagger?
That's a huge question
Yes,
for me,
it
man.
is.
Like, that's a huge question. Cass Coolin says, I'd trade everyone but Bam and Butler for KD. And the problem is that you'd have to make the Bam trade outside of the KD trade.
Yeah,
Because you can't trade Bam onto the Brooklyn Nets with Ben Simmons being there because they're both exempt contracts.
This is what I mean, though, about this trade. Like, it doesn't – you're already NBA Finals good, right? Like, are we forgetting that? The Miami Heat are already NBA Finals good. They need more secondary help. That's what they struggle with. They turn the ball over too much. The scoring goes away. They can't keep production going when Jimmy's on the bench. It's too top-heavy. That's their problem. And doing the Kevin Durant deal makes you more top-heavy. You can't. That's not smart basketball.
Yeah, Compass says D. Mitch could be number one. He could be. I think he could. Daniel Westover, which of the players that came over in the Rudy trade would you keep? I love Vanderbilt, and I think Malik Beasley could be a really good fit here.
Yep.
I don't know what Walker Kessler is. I think, before training camp starts, and I think it's August 15th or whatever the trade
Not soon enough.
window is on Pat Bev. I would move Pat Bev because everybody wants him. But Jared Vanderbilt's a guy, he's probably the best player you got there. And I think Malik Beasley has a lot of value. He's a guy you can flip at the deadline. So, Vanderbilt's a guy that I really like. I think he was a really smart piece of that trade. Justin Fazio says, I'd be more willing to move Jared Butler than Pat Bev considering what we saw in Summer League. Well, but they're at different parts of their career.
Yeah.
I think for Jared Butler, I think the Jazz are frustrated with Jared Butler. He's a miss. And I think anybody that tells you that he was going to be a bust or they didn't see it is lying to you.
Yeah.
When you got him at 41 or whatever they got him at in the draft, there's nobody that wasn't excited about him. And I've heard a lot of local people being like, yeah, I told you so. Fuck off. You didn't tell us anything.
Yeah, what was the narrative?
Jared Butler's a guy that was a steal in the draft, and he hasn't worked out.
Hey, he just won a championship at Baylor. And we just got a guy who knows how to win.
Oh, leadership.
Leading
Wow.
the team.
Oh, that was the narrative. The problem is this prior incarnations of this organization didn't develop guys.
Yeah.
And now you're in a situation where you have a development pipeline and you have a guy in David Fisdale whose sole purpose in this world right now is to develop young Jazz talent. So I think when you see Fizz and you put him with Jared Butler, this is make or break for Jared Butler.
Here's the game plan.
I think you saw miserable shooting technique in Summer League for Jared Butler. That's what I think you saw. And by the way, I think you saw Jared Butler who wasn't all bought in because Jared Butler wasn't exactly in elite shape. And I think there was a lot of frustration with that. Let's see. My Holy King says Butler wants to lead, KD doesn't. I don't think you can say that. I really don't. Leonard Don and Endelove. What's up, LDN? He says, we back. Yeah, you are.
Hello.
Yeah, you are. Compass says, no, KD wants to lead a team. I think KD does want to lead a team. My Holy King says KD said he doesn't want to lead. I don't know about that. Compass says, bro, Minnesota's in the East. There it is. Louis Diaz, what's up? He says, if I'm KD, I want to be the bus driver. I'll go to Utah and do my best to win chips with any roster I have with me. He will be the best Jazz man ever. I would love to see Kevin Durant here. That ain't never going to happen.
Doesn't make you feel responsible.
That should probably.